Hello, welcome to Tony's Bonsai. I've got an interesting tree for you today. It's called an oak leaf holly, and people have been commenting saying that I pick up a lot of bargains, so I thought because I don't want to show myself as being tight, I splashed some cash on this one. Money's no object on this channel, and this one was £2. So let's take a closer look at it. The leaves are not small, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make a small bonsai out of this. It'll have to be a substantial tree. But I do like these leaves. I like the way that they're not as sharp as a normal holly. And they are kind of, I suppose, they're slightly oak-like. Down here at the base is the really interesting bit. They seem to have really good taper, going from thick to thin very quickly. I've got multiple plants here, and I'm not sure whether to split them up or make them into one clump style. These three, I think they're separate trees. These two are, I think they're one. This is separate, but it seems fairly intertwined with that. But round at the back, we've got another tree with a big lump on it, and this appears to be quite separate. So I'm thinking of detaching this and making this as an individual tree, and these 3 or 4 as a clump style. First things first, let's take these out. We appear to have an excellent root system. It is becoming pot bound, but hollies are naturally very, very vigorous growers. They just grow like weeds. If you go out in the wild, they're everywhere. And I presume these are similar, even though these are not exactly a normal holly. In terms of getting this tree off, my sort of plan is just to pull like that. And this seems to be coming away fairly nicely, with plenty of root on it. So that couldn't have gone any better. I'll put this main group to one side for the moment. So I'll take a look at that next. But first of all, it's what to do with this. And I did feel a fairly large taproot. There's obviously some roots that were attached to the other part of the tree, but in here I felt a really long this is almost matted all the way down to there, with thick kind of fibrous roots, which is not ideal for bonsai, having everything just in a long cylinder going down below the ground. So I do, but also I don't want to kill the plant, and I'm wondering if I could leave that as is and have the plant like that. I mean, it's quite a nice plant, and I definitely wouldn't want to kill this by ruining these roots. But I do need to do some exploration. I can't get away with just doing nothing. I'm not necessarily planning on completely bare rooting this, but I just need to sort out some kind of structure going forward. And we can see that thick root here. This is the root I was talking about. See that? Look how long that is. So my question now is, where do the roots on this tree really come from, and how much of that can I cut off? Because if all of this root mass is connected to the end of this, I think it'd be a bit kamikaze to just cut that off. Although I do have some nice roots coming from this upper section up here. So I'm wondering if I can free these, whether they'll be enough. Or do I just say to myself that, I'll just get rid of that bit of moss there. Do I just say to myself that this is the tree here and separate some of these roots, let these develop on their own, and then cut that larger section off next year? And that seems like a slightly more prudent method to me, because I do like this base. I think it's got some good character and potential, and I don't want to kill it. So I'm just going to I'm going to go somewhere in between and do some exploration of this root mass. So all I really want to do is separate this root here and maybe just one at the back. And if I can get these free, I can leave the rest in place. Because the more these grow together over the years, the less chance I've got of splitting them up and me ever getting rid of this bottom section. So it's just really intertwined with all this at the base. That's quite challenging, this, very challenging. See, look how that's absolutely rock solid. I don't think they'll ever split. Or will they? Oh, I'm beginning to get this chopstick in there and sort of split that mass up. If I just get rid of some of that soil there, you might be able to see a bit better on the camera. And I'm just going to do some proper attacking now. That's beginning to break up, so I'm beginning to comb these roots out, and oh, that's working. Oh, that's better. So I can now see that one huge root there. And then we've got all these finer roots up at these smaller roots up at the top. So I think I can cut that off. Get my secateurs. Get rid of that. And suddenly that's now got a manageable set of roots, I think, that can be further trimmed down the line. You know, further down the line, that bottom section can come off as well. I've got my tree here. I'll just put it in this pot, just a garden pot, you know, a normal garden plant pot. Put some of my soil in, my potting mix. I know it's not the right time of year to be repotting plants. Well, they say it isn't, but I've never really tried it this time of year, and I suppose I could have left this and said, right, I'll come back to it in the spring and do it. And that would have been sensible. That would have been a better thing to do, thinking about it, but, you know. What are you going to do? I'm just looking for my chopstick so that I can just Just push a bit of this soil down. I'll just rotate this tree round now for you, and you can see the wonderful shape at the base. I really like that. It's almost like the Loch Ness Monster. And it's got some nice structure up here as well. This could eventually turn out quite nice. So, considering this was just one I was pulling off the side, I think it's got some good potential, and I really, as often is the case, I start off thinking, oh, I'm not that bothered about this one. I really hope this makes it. Before I start work on this one, if you're enjoying this video and you'd like to follow the progression of these trees, see if that first one survived, hit subscribe and keep up to date with my content. It's great having you join me. So let's have a look at this clump style. This has got 3 main trunks and a little side trunk coming all the way up. Seems to be growing nicely. As I said earlier, this base is really kind of where the beauty of this tree is. And I don't want to disturb these roots as I did with that first one. You know, that's a gamble, that first one. We'll see next year whether it pays off or not. But I don't want to make the same risk with this, because I love these clump styles, and this is kind of, it's just a gift, it's already there. And having looked at the root structure on the previous tree, what I suspect happened is the garden centre probably bought these as bare root stock, put them together in a tub, and that's why they've got the long straight roots. And these have probably got the same, they've got long roots going all the way down, and I don't want to disturb those at the moment. So all I need to do for this is really put this back in the pot and maybe take a look at it next year. Although I am considering the possibility of even pulling those together to help them to fuse. Because if these were touching like that, they're more likely to fuse. But I think I'll leave that for next year. See, I can see they're definitely separate trees. And these would just split the same as the other tree. If I just pull these apart, they'd just split down the middle. But I don't want to. I want to keep these as a group. So this is the easiest kind of repotting ever. I'm just putting that back in the same pot. There's no point doing anything else. I'm just putting it back in and then backfilling it with some new soil. So this is the gap where I pulled the other tree out, and all I'll do is just put some of my soil in and just tamp it down like that. And whereas the first tree was a bit of a gamble, well, it was a big gamble, I don't think there's any doubt that this is going to go on and thrive and do well. The roots will be a fairly big job at some point in the future, but I'd rather deal with them at the correct time of year. I'm only going to take one big gamble for the moment. I hope you've enjoyed this video looking at my new trees, which are these oak leaf hollies. I was watching a video yesterday by Xavier Martinez. Really enjoyed it, and he was looking at the Italian alder, a species I've never even heard of, and his trees were great. Really enjoyed the video, and I love finding out about new species, so hopefully I've done something similar here. Obviously mine's very new material, but let's see how they grow. As always, thanks for joining me and have a great day. I'll see you soon.